just grab your boots and dance around. A little mud never hurt a soul. It's how we grow, yeah, it's how we roll.
The sun's hiding, but it ain't gone. Keep your heart turned on, turned on.
Keep smiling, keep shining when the storm tries to steal your song. Keep smiling, keep climbing till the dark clouds that don't belong. Oh, misery won't stay where joy is strong. Oh, misery won't stay where joy is strong.
Creeping, saying you can't win.
Just shout louder, drown them out again. Turn the doubts into your fire. Every stumble builds something higher. When shadows linger, light your spark. Don't let them pull you into the dark. Keep smiling, keep shining when the storm tries to steal your song. Keep smiling, keep climbing till the dark clouds that don't belong. Oh, misery won't stay where joy is strong. Oh, misery won't stay where joy is strong.
Stupid people should wear signs, neon bright, so we can find a way to dodge their tangled mess. Avoid their chaos more, say less. Wear a sign, wear a sign. Save me from your twisted lies. Politicians dance and spin, blatant lies with a practiced grin. Blame the moon, blame the stars, blame the traffic or faulty cars. You think they're 6, not 35, playing games to stay.
Marvin Divine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hello folks, welcome back. Friday, October 17th, 2025, Central Pennsylvania. Chris here live for your daily dose, your daily injection, your daily vaccine against propaganda, misinformation, disinformation. I received a troubling email from someone earlier today accusing me of spreading disinformation about them. I never heard of the person. I don't even know who they are. It's not a public name. So I wrote back to the person. They apologized to me, and I wrote back and said, I need to apologize. I didn't take offense, but I can't respond to something when you don't tell me where I talked about you. I don't know who the person is. Maybe it was someone that was in a video from a Twitter thing or something like that, and they claim I spread disinformation about them. I don't even know who they are. I'm getting all kinds of weird stuff like this now. I'm starting to wonder if people aren't just, probing to see what they can find out. But if I'd said something bad about you, then you need to tell me when it was. I mean, I've done over 6,000 videos in the past 6 years. 6,000. Do the count, folks. Do the count. Over 3,500 on this channel, plus another 3,000 on the other channel, plus all the rugby. I've done over 600, probably 7,000 videos minimum over the past, and the average video length is 17 minutes. So you figure that out. 42 minutes, excuse me, not 17 minutes. So if you feel slighted, you need to let me know. You can't just say you slighted me. I can't take any action on that. I don't know anything about that. That means nothing to me. Also, people are asking me questions before we get to news. I mean, that's a bit unfair, folks. This is a news program, but I will take a pause here. It's Friday. We'll relax a little bit here, and I will answer the question. The question came up a few minutes ago about, there it is, from Johan Barnard. May I ask, will there be anybody from the U.S. government monitoring the money given to South Africa for the AIDS program? Well, first off, the South African government doesn't get money from the United States for HIV. No. The press and the South African government are lying to you, or you're misunderstanding. One of the two is taking place. We don't give money to the South African government. In the 1960s, 70s, 80s, we gave money to African governments. It didn't go very well. They just stole it all. So they learned from that. And beginning in the 1990s, late 1990s, in the early 2000s, we don't give money to governments by and large. Most foreign aid doesn't go to foreign governments unless it's loans or grants that are tied to the IMF or World Bank. Most foreign aid goes to third-party, non-government organizations. So the money we give Botswana to fight HIV goes to third parties that are charities or non-for-profits or things like that that provide services to Botswana, and the same in South Africa. The monitoring services we run, or that we pay for, are given not to the South African government for surveillance, but to private organizations for surveillance, and that data is shared. So the money doesn't go to the government. But your question is a broader question, it's a fair one. Who monitors this? Well, in the past, the responsibility for that was largely the United States Agency for International Development. But President Trump has disbanded that organization. So that responsibility will fall back to the State Department, and they will have people that do that. Will they have enough people? That's another question. I will admit that I was gobsmacked to see that the U.S. government had restored HIV funding for a transitional period. Frankly, that's what should have been done from the outset. And I guess at some point, either it's a political concession in Washington Congress, or it was a realization that it was heartless to do it instantaneously. But quite frankly, it's also shameful of African countries in particular to continue to take handouts from the United States 22 years after PEPFAR was created. Sorry, this hoodie's bothering me. I'm trying to get in just the right way. There we go. 22 years after the president's emergency program for AIDS relief was a 5-year program, $3 billion for 5 years, $15 billion. The first version spent $43 billion over 5 years as Congress put more and more money into the program, and it has continued for 22 years. It was supposed to be a bridging mechanism to help African countries that didn't, and well, countries around the world, but mostly in Africa. 85% of the money spent in Africa. Countries go from no resources, give them time to build up over 5 years so they take responsibility. But they haven't taken responsibility. Botswana is one of the few cases of countries that have taken responsibility for their program, and most of the funding in Botswana has dried up. When I was in Botswana, we had reached the peak of $85 million per year to Botswana, a country of just a couple million people. $85 million, essentially. 85 to, that's $40 per person. And most people don't have HIV, even though 38% of the adult population was positive. At that time, it already dropped to a lower figure. But the point here is that 85 million, that number dropped. That was the peak. South Africa's amount still came to $300+ million, $400 million per year, $500 million depending on the years. And South Africa has not taken responsibility for all that spending. They have taken some responsibility. But South Africa's numbers continue to get worse. 8.5 million HIV positive South Africans. Pretty frightening, folks. Pretty darn frightening. Viral security issues. Is this a music show? No. And why would you ask that silly ass question? Why do you ask that question? It's an introduction. YouTube doesn't share that this broadcast is live until sometime after it's gone live. Therefore, we open the program with music. That has been the case for 5 years, 6 years. Where's the confusion? Truth Report, where Chris is an anchor for more news. Yep, there you go. Yeah, thanks. You guys consider. There's Chris Swanepoel. Any 5-year program for African countries is a lifelong commitment. Yeah, Fonz, I think you're right about that. Internet's giving me a hard time, Husky. Sorry to hear about that. ANC is going to steal the money. It doesn't go to the ANC. It doesn't go to the ANC. They don't receive the money. Can I understand money's going to Botswana, third parties, population is very small. Sure, they do not get much tax money from assistance. No, Botswana has plenty of money. The problem is they were ill-prepared for it. Most countries weren't ready for it, so we picked up the slack. And that's why Botswana has picked up the slack, because they took responsibility for it over time. Have you seen the News 24 article, Crispin Period? Yes, I have. I just recorded a video. It hasn't been edited, so let me... hang on a second here. Now I got to find where it went. I closed that window, so... this isn't where it's at. Give me a second here. It's going to be under Zoom. It'll be my most recent one. Okay. So here you go. This should be it here. Let me see. Summit took place. And in this, they do mention late in the page 9 of their minute, they were nowhere to be found. They didn't join the case when the Gambia brought that case, first time it had ever been done, International Court of Justice. They were silent. They had no interest in that. They only had interest in their fellow travelers in the Arab world. And let's talk about this. I'm actually going to read from Crispin Peary's op-ed. These are his words, not mine. And I'm going to comment on each section here that I talk about. South Africa's absence from the Egypt-Gaza ceasefire talks was not an indication of a failure in South Africa's foreign policy, despite what Ambassador Tony Leon claims. I would argue, in fact, it is very much a failure of South African foreign policy. President Cyril Ramaphosa's joke on the world stage. He seems to think that the world respects him. And the ANC seems to think that they have some moral high ground. They do not. They do not have any moral high ground here. They were silent on the Uyghurs. They're silent on the Rohingya. They're silent in what happened in Tigray. They're silent on what happens in Sudan. They're silent on what happens in so many places. They stand up one time and they have moral superiority. In his 15 October column, Moral Superpower, his 15 October column, Moral Superpower, claims... Do you see why I have to edit sometimes? Because the sentence was poorly written. I had to read it twice. Ring hollow as South Africa snubbed 3 times. In his 15 October column, Moral Superpower claims ring hollow as South Africa snubbed at Gaza Peace Summit. Tony Leon argued that South Africa's moral blindness was the reason for our exclusion from the Sharm el-Sheikh talks that led to a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Now, I will say that I believe that's certainly in part true, because no one believes in your nonsensical case that isn't genocide. It doesn't meet the international definition of genocide. It's a nuisance case. And beyond that, there's probably another reason why South Africa was invited. South Africa is continually, even in the midst of tariffs and a visit by the president to the United States, continually antagonized and insulted the United States repeatedly, multiple times throughout this calendar year. That may be a reason why they weren't invited. Now, Crispin Peary says that Tony Leon's claim at best is speculative and uninformed, and at worst, it's propaganda. All right, so that's a taste of the op-ed that I read from Crispin Peary, the spokesperson for the Department of International Relations Cooperation, DIRCO, in South Africa, attacking Tony Leon's piece. Now, Tony Leon's piece came after I did a short on this, in just hours after the Sharm el-Sheikh conference, and I noticed that the ANC wasn't present. And no one was mentioning that. So we're not on the lake, Shawnee. That's not a lake. That's the Indian Ocean in the backdrop there. Yep. So we're actually in the studio. That was just someone asked about whether I'd seen that. And so I already recorded. There's only so much time in the day, folks. Between the end of the interview, I sorted out the news we're going to cover today that I already researched, put it in the right order so it makes sense. It flows from place to place. And then I recorded that op-ed. So, yep. Yes. Nice backdrop, okay. There's a lot of books behind me, and good luck figuring them out. I'm running an undercover MTV channel. It's DJ Silver Eagle, folks. Yeah, so Donner and Blitzen is who asked me that question. So, that's what I saw. So, thanks for everybody that's here. Be sure to hit the like button. We got 169 likes already. We're giving you something to like. I saw Cockpot24 had an article of farm attack, boiling water poured over the... Yes, that's true. That's probably only because Ernst Rotz did a video saying that none of the media outlets had covered it. Even Marola Media hadn't had covered this story yet. I didn't cover it because I only had social media information. 70-year-old lady, Atani, who had boiling water poured over her, tortured. She's lives on a farm all by herself. Yes, so that story now getting around. Will Smurf says that Byron says of the 68,000 people killed in Gaza, 57,000 were combatants. I don't have any figures for that. I have no evidence of that, but I suspect it's probably an accurate figure. They oftentimes play games there. Look, I mean, they started this war. This is the consequence of war. This is what you bring your people, and that's a consequence. They shouldn't have gone and invaded Israel and murdered 1,200 people. Christians, Muslims, Jews, Buddhists, people from all over the world. All right, let's get to the news, folks. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't done already. Yeah, the world is ugly, Dylan. It's very, very ugly. Let's get okay, Garrett. I know that story last night, but I didn't get to it. It's in my hopper today for the news. Ace Frehley from Kiss, the guitarist, has died. He wasn't with Kiss his entire career, but he did spend a lot of time with Kiss in the beginning and then later on. So here's the news, folks. All right, ANC's national operations are paralyzed, according to Gwen Ramakopa. She's going to court to unfreeze their bank accounts, except that they're deadbeats. They haven't paid their bills. The ANC owes Israeli 85 million rand. They owed them 102 million plus 50 million in interest and penalties. Apparently, they haven't paid that money. So if they owe them 85, that means at best they paid 17 million. But ask yourself this question, folks. If the ANC owes them that much money, why did every media outlet in South Africa in December of 2023 tell us that the debt was paid? Did they just take the word of the ANC? I took the media's word because I don't have access to the courts, the court docket, to the judges, to the attorneys, to the plaintiffs, to ANC, to Izweni. I don't have access to any of that. I'm not in South Africa. Sometimes I get access to stuff, but it's very hard for me to get access from here. I have enough tonight. Why did they not follow up? 22 months later, we find out that it was all fraud perpetrated on South African people. It was a lie. And what was the lie for? To swing the election? What else was it for? December 2023, the debt's paid. Of course, many of us speculated and said, well, gee, now Lady Pandor just came back from Tehran. Did she bring money back with her? We don't know. But the ANC magically, poof, paid off its debt. Now, if you do a forensic audit and take a look at what's publicly available on the Independent Electoral Commission website for donations to parties, you will see the amount of money that the ANC reports from its sources, which include a few rich, white or South Africans. Motsepe gives money, others, as well as Chancellor House and Bato Trust. That money does not even equal the money that was owed to Izweni, let alone the 20 million rand spent on the birthday party at Mbombela, the 112th, I think it was, 112th anniversary of the ANC at Nelspruit. 20 million to bus people in to pay for the venue and all that stuff. And on top of the 20 million plus 152 million, it's 172 million rand, they had to finance their campaign. They ran a campaign. They had posters up. I saw them. I saw the posters. I was there. I got posters. I got a picture of Cyril. Want to show it to you? Got it. I cleaned up the rubbish after the election, picked up all that crap last year. So where did the money come from? Show me the money. Cuba Gooding once said to Tom Cruise, show me the money. Where's the money? Where's the money? Where was the interest from News 24, Adrian Basson, George Claassen, Peter Dutoit, its investigative powerhouse of Media 24, News 24? Where were they at? Where were they at? Why in 22 months we only now find out that the debt was never paid? They're proud of investigative. What about Daily Maverick in Ambugani? Its investigative wing. Where's that at? These journalists with millions of dollars at their disposal, telephones, mobiles, transportation, airfare, hotels, rich pockets, Koos Becker. Why did they investigate this? Why did they investigate the ANC not paying its debt? 2 more years the ANC's limped along. But now they're in trouble. Their bank accounts are frozen. Their computers, their coffee makers, their fax machines, their desk, their furniture from the Lutuli House, all taken, confiscated by the sheriff of the High Court of Johannesburg. And their bank account's frozen. They can do nothing. So anything the ANC is doing to campaign now, anything that the ANC does today, anything, if they have a poster, if they have a venue that's leased, if they transport people, report it to the police. Report it to the police. Why? Why? Because they have no money. So they must report that in-kind donation from somebody. Somebody's giving them money to campaign in by-elections. They have no money. So where's it coming from? If it's not reported to the IEC, it's criminal. It's criminal. Did I get something wrong? Somebody tell me I got it wrong. Tell me what I got wrong there, please. Tell me that I got it wrong. Their bank accounts are frozen. They can do nothing. They have no money, no access to money. So they can't pay their staff. Yet again, they didn't pay them for over a year in the past. They can't buy KFC's three-piece Streetwise or T-shirts or posters or run adverts or transport people to voting stations. They can't do any of that. They can do it if somebody gives them money or gives them in-kind assistance, but you must report that. Let's see the IEC reports on where the money's coming from. Let's see where it's coming from. The freezing of the ANC's bank accounts following a court decision related to its alleged debt. It's not an alleged debt. Why is News 24 calling it an alleged debt? There are 2 court cases that confirm that this is legitimate debt that the ANC must repay. They've had judgments against them, and then their appeal was denied. So why is Cockprot 24 calling it an alleged debt? Why are they calling it an alleged debt? It's not an alleged debt. This isn't a case of someone charged with a capital crime that hasn't been convicted. Then it's an alleged murder. You can't call the person murder. We couldn't call Julius Malema a criminal legitimately until he was convicted of being a criminal. Now we can call Julius Malema a convicted criminal. He's been convicted. So you could say alleged or accused, but there's no alleged debt here. It's not alleged. It's been proven in a court of law, and that judgment has been held up by an appeal. If it's alleged, why did they take all the furniture, the computers, the coffee makers? It's not alleged. You can't just go and confiscate stuff without a judgment. This is bullshit. This is journalistic malpractice. Who wrote this article? Amanda. Did you write that, or did your editors put that in there, Amanda? You're smarter than that. You're a decent journalist. You've written some good stories for Cockprot 24. I can't believe you put alleged in there. It's not alleged. Was that your editor? Did Peter DeToy have a role in this? George Clausen? Adrian Basson? Who's responsible for this journalistic malpractice? Who is responsible for this journalistic malpractice? Earlier this month, City Press reported that the sheriff of the court recently removed office furniture, computer equipment, and kitchen appliances worth $140,000. That's not going to begin to cover the ANC's debt. Not going to do it. Well, never again should food be used as a weapon. Wear aside. Save me from your stupid lies. Oh my goodness. Never again should food be used as a weapon. Parents use food as a weapon against their kids. Do your chores or no dinner for you. Cyril Ramaphosa, and he's doing this to tell retailers in South Africa to reduce the cost of food because you're high margins. Does Cyril Ramaphosa have any concept of what it costs to operate a supermarket and the margins? Now, I can't speak authoritatively for the margins in South Africa supermarkets, but I can tell you the margins in America traditionally have been less than 3%. Meanwhile, Microsoft gets 65 to 80% margins on everything it produces. And how much of a margin does McDonald's in South Africa make, Cyril? How about you lower the price of your Big Macs? How about you lower the price of your hamburgers and your other heart attack inducing food from McDonald's? You want food to be affordable? Lower your margins at McDonald's, Cyril. Stop taking money out of your pocket. Unbelievable. Never again should food be used as a weapon. He's attacking Israel. I'm sorry. Did Shaka not use food as a weapon? Did Mzila Kazi not use food as a weapon? President Ramaphosa strongly condemned Israel for allegedly using. Oh, they're loving that. Well, all right. Somebody pointed out here, maybe News 24 is being very careful because they keep getting in trouble with the press ombudsman. Maybe, because now it's allegedly using food. That's actually correct. Allegedly used as a weapon. That's an allegation. It isn't proven. Speaking at the 7th Social Justice Summit in Cape Town on Friday, Ramaphosa argued that food should never be used as a tool of oppression and conflict. Food should never be used as a weapon. As we've seen other conflicts in the world, there are conflicts that are going on where food and nutrition are now being used against populations. No. The ANC doesn't like using food. They prefer using bombs and blowing up bars and cinemas. That's or necklacing their opponents in the Inkatha Freedom Party. Yeah, don't use food as a weapon. Yeah, they just do other tactics. Yeah, right. Let's not use food as a weapon. No. There's much more effective weapons for the Mkhonto we Sizwe guys. Yes. Oh, dear God. Oh, you can't make this stuff up, folks. You can't make this up. You cannot make this up. We need to imprint this on our memory that never again should food be used as a weapon against those that we may not like. And it should never happen on our continent or anywhere in the world. Food is universal right. A universal right. No, it's not a right. It's not a right. If it was a right, you'd come out of the womb and there'd be a 4-course meal right there. Boom. Ooh, look at that, man. Ooh, look at that. It's pop and flies and little Dorvus over here and some cook sisters for dessert. It doesn't work that way. You have to hunt for food or plant food. It's not a right. It's not a right. God didn't give you food. The planet produces food, or agriculturalists produce it. A right, not a universal right. So let me ask you this question, Cyril Minir Palapala. So when you deny race-based South Africans, Indians, colors, and whites, from employment or government tenders, forcing them into poverty where they can't afford to buy food and they're hungry, why are you doing that? Why do you have 145 race-based laws that prevent South Africans from achieving success and from becoming prosperous and feeding their families, leaving them to eat less than nutritious meals if they can find anything to eat? Well, why are homeless people wandering the streets of Pretoria and Joburg? And by the way, the homeless aren't just black. You've seen the white Afrikaner beggars on the streets of Pretoria? I have, over and over again, begging for money, hungry, starving. But food shouldn't be a weapon. But the ANC uses it as a weapon. What about the 15 infants and toddlers who starved to death in Nelson Mandela Bay? Okay, to be fair, the ANC didn't do that as a weapon. That was incompetence. They returned the 62 million rand back to the national government because they weren't smart enough to spend it on starving children. So not a weapon. Okay, fair enough, Cyril. That was incompetence. Okay, yeah, right. You told a gathering which brought people together, including policymakers, legislators, civil society, traditional leaders, academics, and judiciary, that freedom from hunger was both a moral and developmental imperative. Okay, I agree. It's a moral and developmental imperative. I agree, but it's not a right. It's not a right. If we're talking about food prices, we want to call on them to look at the prices that they charge for food at the till. We want to call on them to look at the high margins that they charge, because it's all very well and good for them to say there needs to be food security and affordable food prices, but they're the ones who drive the food price high. No. They're not the ones driving the food prices high. No. The retailers aren't driving the prices high. No. The price of petrol, the price of fertilizer, land invasions, laws in South Africa, your collapsed infrastructure, that's what drives the prices up. Cyril, are you really that uninformed as to how the economy works? I mean, how much money do you make on a Big Mac? 25 Rand per Big Mac? Is that what comes in your pocket? Lower the price by 20 Rand. You can still make 5 Rand. It's a nickel. Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, the government's coming after businesses. Oh, we said this is happening. And here we go. Business Tech warning you that they're coming after you if you don't apply racist laws. If you don't use racism in your hiring practices, you're going to be punished by the government. I'm sorry. Is this 1977? Is the National Party in control of the country? Am I Rip Van Winkle? Did I wake up and it's 1976? Is the National Party running South Africa? If you don't apply racist laws and limit the number of people who aren't the favored race in employment, you're going to be punished? Wow. Did I miss something, folks? What did I miss here? The Department of Employment Labor says it will come down hard on any employers in South Africa who do not comply with the Employment Equity Act, known as the Racism Law, and the new racial employment targets set in April. Why do you have to have racial employment targets? Why is that? I'm sorry. Has the majority black government not run the country for 32 years? What did I miss? I'm at 31 years. I missed something. What did I miss? Somehow I missed something there. Responding to parliamentary question and answer, Minister Nomakosazana Meth, is that short for meth head? Said that the department has various enforcement measures at its disposal to ensure compliance. You will be racist or we will shut you down. Wow. Responding, the first consequences of not adhering to laws will be that any employer that is found to be non-compliant with relevant provisions will not be issued with a certificate. Oh, you won't have a compliance certificate. Oh, it's a prerequisite for assessing any state contract. So you can't get a state contract. We already can't get a state contract if you're white, colored, or Indian. So what does that hurt? What does that hurt? Secondly, any employer that fails to achieve its own EE targets towards meeting the 5-year targets without justifiable reasons will be referred to the labor court. Well, the labor court's going to be overwhelmed with cases. Good luck with that. If found guilty, these employers will be liable for a penalty or fine which starts at $1.5 million or 2% of annual turnover, whichever is greater. You can escalate 10% for repeat offenders. So raise your prices. Cyril's worried about the margins of food. Well, that's one reason for margins. You're going to have to pay your penalty because you're not racist. You're not going to hire people based on skin color. You're going to hire people based on merit. What a concept. Here's this lovely black gentleman, Chepo, and he's the best candidate. Hired. Here's this lovely lady named Liani, who's white. Best candidate. Hired. Here's this Indian fellow, named Sham. Best candidate. Hired. There you go. It's pretty simple, folks. Racism has no place except in the ANC. But wait. Chris Imperial will tell us that this is not an ANC policy. It's the government of national unity. Who controls labor in the government? Is it the DA? If it is, then we'll have this conversation with the DA. The police have raided Brown Mokhotzi's Northwest business premises amid corruption allegations. Oh my goodness. More corruption. Police yesterday raided the premises of businessman Brown Mokhotzi in Sedawang village in Makeng in Northwest. That's Mafeking, I think. National Police spokesman and Athalenda Mata said police went to his premises as part of an ongoing investigation. Has already been discussed before an ad hoc committee and the commission. It's Imquinazi. Ooh, that's what this is. A tangible impact from the Imquinazi Inquisition. Well, my goodness. So, last week, the Independent Line reported the ANC had distanced itself from allegations of organized criminal activity leveled at Mokhotzi, stating that he was not a registered member of the party. Isn't that convenient? Isn't that convenient? So you can't be involved in criminal activity because he's not a member of the party? No, you can be involved in criminal activity. You don't have to be a member of a political party. Oh, my goodness. Reserve Bank has seized cars, jewelry, and art belonging to the man who supposedly, unalived himself, Marcus Justa. From Steinhoff. Vehicles and valuables worth millions confiscated in a probe into the late Steinhoff boss's exchange control breaches. South Africa Reserve Bank has seized several cars belonging to the estate of former Steinhoff boss Marcus Justa, who supposedly unalived himself when law enforcement were ready to pounce on him for the fraud he orchestrated the company that bled billions from investors. They see 5 cars. A double cab Bucky, only valued at 80,000 Rand. That's nothing. Mercedes-Benz, valued at 434,000. Land Rover at 350,000. Lexus, 293,000. Volkswagen Combi with a resale value of 344,000. Also received jewelry and paintings valued at 795,000 Rand. Yet last year, they seized 60 million in cash and property belonging to Bernardine Odendaal, who was supposedly his lover. They took his lover's money. Well, that case continues. That's from all the way back in, 2017? The Steinhoff thing is crazy. Venedorant met a Chinese family today. Aspirants also. Really? Speaking of which, by the way, folks, today there were at least approximately 200 people who were interviewed for the refugee resettlement program in America. Today alone. And we discovered earlier today that on the 10th of September, 26 South Africans arrived that day. 26 on the 10th of September. Anecdotal, but valuable information nonetheless. Well, the Rand should be 7 to the dollar. 7 to the dollar. Are you serious? 7 to oh my goodness. Yeah, amazing. We told you in a 2-week period in August, there were 3,000 people that went in 10 days. That was about 300 per day. Yeah. So maybe it's a little bit slower now for scheduling reasons or because there aren't enough U.S. people to work the cases in addition to the RSC and the Amerikaners. So, yeah, 7 to 1. This is what the Reserve Bank is trying to tell us. They're trying to tell us that the rand is worth 7 to 1. Seriously? South African Reserve Bank Governor Letsetsi Kanyangwa says the rand is incredibly undervalued, with studies showing that the rand should be around 7 to the dollar. How is the rand undervalued at 7 to the dollar? South Africa is in junk bond status. You can't borrow money except at excessively high rates. South Africa is sanctioned under the Financial Action Task Force for gray listing for money laundering, terror financing, and criminal syndicates. South Africa is a human trafficking hub, according to the international media, international organizations. South Africa has a massive debt. South Africa has one of the world's most inefficient workforces when you look at it across the board. South Africa has no electricity. South Africa has crumbling infrastructure. How in the world is the rand supposed to be at 7 to the dollar? Please spare me. Tell me that one. 7 to the dollar? This guy is smoking his socks. Absolutely smoking his socks. Speaking before the Molantla Foundation Drakensberg Inclusive Growth Forum, he highlighted the rand was depreciated over the past 2 decades. Although the governor highlighted the framework, which suggests that currency depreciation should lead to growth, the rand has weakened over the 10 years while the economy has weakened. Indeed, back in the late 2000s, it was often argued South Africa's real exchange rate was too strong and too volatile. This indicator has since become significantly weaker and less volatile. If you consider indicators of purchasing power parity, such as the simple Big Mac index, you see that for the rand to have the same buying power in the U.S. as it does here, the exchange rate would need to be 56% higher. Well, there's a reason the rand doesn't have the same purchasing power, because your currency is junk. My goodness. Timothy Jacobs says the ANC will fall in the next 5 months. Well, that's a bold prediction. Well, folks, you can get a free temporary license. Sure, because South Africa has one driver's license machine for a country of 63 million. One driver's license machine. Who runs a country like that? There are more driver license machines for issuing driver's license within a half hour where I live than the entire country of South Africa. At the station I go to get my license renewed here in Pennsylvania, there are a dozen booths, all of which have machines that produce driver's license. 12 machines in one location, in one state, in this little corner of Pennsylvania. 12 machines. Boom, shakalaka. Piece of cake, done. And there you have it. Pennsylvania driver's license. Boom. Application done online. Show up, get the photograph, get a new photograph, update it, and renew it. And in fact, this one, did I even go in for this? I'm trying to remember if I had to go in. No, I don't think I had to go in. I think I just renewed online. Yep. Wow. One machine. So now they have to issue a temporary license. Otherwise, you have to pay a bribe to cops who pull you over even though you're not in the wrong. Department of Transport has clarified which motorists qualify for free temporary license. Minister Barbara Creasy, the communist, exempted fees on temporary driver license applications for motorists affected by the breakdown. Yes, so who? Between February 5th and May 8th this year, their only decrepit driving license machine broke down, creating a massive backlog of applications. The fee for temporary driving license varies by province. It's $45 in the Western Cape and $90 in KZN. Yep, okay. The fee exemption is only available to motorists whose permanent driver's license has expired during the period when the driver license machine broke down, February 5th to May 8th, who applied for temporary driver's license within 3 months of driver's license expiring, and who applied for temporary license after the fee exemption was put in place. So basically, they've put conditions so that almost nobody qualifies. Well, folks, it's on like Donkey Kong. The rugby's greatest rivalry tour is coming next year. 8 matches in South Africa. The All Blacks are coming to South Africa for 8 matches. 4 test matches with the Springboks. That's massive. And what does this do to the Rugby Championship? Does it cancel it out? Plus games against the Stormers, the Lions, the Sharks, and the Bulls. Wow. The greatest rugby rivalry. That's going to be exciting, folks. The All Blacks will tour South Africa in 2026 for the first time in 3 decades, playing 8 matches in total, including 4 tests. 3 tests will be played in South Africa, with the 4th yet to be determined neutral venue. Yep. What do you mean 3 tests we played in South Africa? How are they playing 8 tests? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, the 4th test. Okay. Neutral venue. Got it. So maybe Twickenham. So 7 games will be played in South Africa. Okay. So here you go. That's back in 1996, the last time they did this. There you go. There, see ya. All right. So the 4th test has not been announced where. So there'll be a game in Joburg. Oh, sorry. First test will be in Joburg at Ellis Park. The second test will be in Cape Town, and the third test will be back in Joburg. The 4th test is yet to be announced. And then they play the Stormers on the 7th of August. Then they play the Sharks on the 11th of August, the Bulls on the 15th. And then they play the first test. They play the Lions on the 25th of August, just before the URC season starts. There you go. So from 7 August to 12 September next year, the All Blacks are coming to town. Should be fascinating. Who will be supporting 2031 World Cup? South Africa. Mozambique unrest continues. Now it's turned deadly at Gemfield's mine. Illegal miners killed 2 police officers in the Cabo Delgado province. Mozambique's ongoing civil unrest erupted into violence on Thursday when dozens of illegal miners stormed the Gemfields ruby mine. A group of about 40 illegal miners marched in the operation's gate before killing 2 police officers at the scene. No workers were injured. The pair slain included Commander of Mozambique's Natural Resources Protection Force. My goodness. Unbelievable. The share price of Gemfields is cratering as a consequence of what's happening there. It's the latest of serious disruptions to delay the construction and processing plant there. Well, violence. It doesn't lead to economic growth. Donald Trump has warned Hamas to stop executing civilians or we will destroy Hamas. President Trump said on Thursday if Hamas continue to kill people in Gaza, we'll have no choice but to go in and kill them. Stark warning. If Hamas continues to kill people in Gaza, which is not the deal, we'll have no choice but to go in and kill them, he wrote in a social media post. He later clarified the U.S. military won't go in. Somebody will go in. Well, special forces can do that. Venezuela is mobilizing its troops in fear that the United States is about to attack with a carrier task, well, not a carrier task, but a destroyer task force off the shore. Maduro says his country is ready for combat, though its military is underfunded, ill-trained, and no match for American firepower. Venezuela is moving troops into position on the Caribbean coast and mobilizing what President Maduro asserts is million-strong militia in display of defiance against the biggest American military buildup in the Caribbean since the 1980s. His regime has cranked up its propaganda machine on state television, radio, and social media. Announcers are telling Venezuelans that the U.S. is a rapacious, Nazi-like state that wants to dig its claws in the country's oil wealth, but the Venezuelan military, the National Bolivarian Armed Forces, are positioned to repel any invasion. Here's the problem with that. So Maduro is saying that we want their oil. But he just offered us exclusive access to his oil, to his gemstones, to his gold mines, if we would just not attack him. He just offered that. So how is it we're trying to take these things? The U.S. government said, no, we don't want your resources. We want freedom for Venezuelans. And we want Venezuelans to stop coming here, honestly. Former Trump advisor John Bolton has been indicted in 18 counts of violation of the Espionage Act over mishandling of classified documents. Well, the Wall Street Journal, that's a lie. It's not mishandling, it's theft. He stole the documents. He's a thief. He stole classified documents which he had no right to possess, and he had them in his home. Yeah, and unlike Jack Smith, nobody planted them in his house. Nobody planted them at Mar-a-Lago like Jack Smith did. These are actual documents he had in his possession. And 2 years ago, he went on Fox News in January of, January 2023, in which he castigated President Trump for having classified documents at his house, only for us to later find out that Jack Smith was planting those documents there. Justice Department Thursday secured an indictment against John Bolton for allegedly mishandling classified information, making President Trump's former national security advisor the latest in the prominent critics to face prosecution. Well, don't forget that he's a neocon from the Bush era. Yep. John Bolton. The 18-count indictment in Maryland federal court is the latest one to target Trump's adversaries. Nope. It's targeting criminals, not targeting adversaries, targeting criminals. If the fact that people that went after Trump illegitimately happen to be criminals, well, that's just bonus, just icing on the cake. According to the government indictment, his documents were shared with co-conspirators and his family. And they have not been charged yet, co-conspirators, and that Iran broke into his email account from his personal computer, which had classified information on it illegally in violation of the Espionage Act. John Bolton should become very fond of the color orange because that's his future. Former Trump National Security Advisor indicted. Arrogant asshat, war head, John Bolton, neocon. John Bolton served as President Trump's national security advisor during their first term, was indicted on October 16th for allegedly unauthorized sharing and retention of classified information. The 76-year-old faced 18 counts under the Espionage Act. From on or about 9 April 2018 through at least on or about 22 August 2025, Bolton abused his position as national security advisor by sharing more than 1,000 pages of information about his day-to-day activities as national security advisor, including information related to the national defense, which was classified up to the top secret, sensitive, compartmented information level with 2 unauthorized individuals. Bolton's attorney told the press these charges stem from portions of Ambassador Bolton's personal diaries over his 45-year career, records that are unclassified, shared only with his intimate family, and known to the FBI as far back as 2021. Nope. He shared classified information. He also had classified information in his home. Yep. Retention and transmission of national defense information. Yep. See, here's the thing. See, they want to play this classified game, but I've said this before to my audience because people don't know this. As a counterintelligence officer, I'm very well acquainted with this. You can go to prison for retaining, transmitting, or possessing defense information illicitly. Let me give you an example. First Gulf War, Albert Sombele, a Congolese immigrant, at the time, Zairian immigrant, to America, joined the U.S. Army, became a citizen, was serving in Germany, was it in Baumholder or Mannheim? Serving in Germany. When we were about to go to war with Iraq in 1990, he took it upon himself to go to the Iraqi consulate in Frankfurt and offer his services to them. He then gave them unclassified technical manuals for the M17 protective mask, and some other things were unclassified. I think he actually gave them the filters or a mask or something like that, which he stole from the Army. He was charged with passing defense information. None of it was classified. Do you know what his prison term was? 34 years. 34 years he was sentenced to federal penitentiary for violation of the Espionage Act for giving unclassified material to the enemy. Unclassified. Not classified. So their attorneys can try to dress this up and play this around. Now, I have defense information, but it's all publicly available, and it's been disseminated by the government, not by me. So that's publicly available. You can have it. I can have it. You can download stuff. It's available. You can purchase the stuff online. But that is someone who shared unclassified information. He got a 34-year prison sentence. Now, it was reduced later on. It was reduced. I think he served 15 years. 34 years. Not classified. So John Bolton and his attorneys can play all this game about this. No. You cannot take that information. And as a national security advisor, he was obliged to go through the government agency he worked for, the White House in this case, to have clearance to print what he printed, to make sure that everything was not classified and they could black it out before he went anywhere with it. But he ignored the government. So that's the cost. Yep. President Trump announced a groundbreaking, significant, something the Democrats have never accomplished, something the Republicans never accomplished, a great deal for in vitro fertilization. President Trump announced a deal to reduce the cost of IVF medication. Pharmaceutical company EMD Serrano will offer IVF therapies at a significant discount to U.S. patients. Look at that. Helping, there's Dr. Oz, he's turned gray. The cost of fertility treatments for U.S. patients is expected to decrease significantly based on a trade deal announced yesterday by President Trump. They've agreed to sell all their fertility drugs at the most favored nation pricing, which will yield discounts of 42 to 79% for U.S. patients. Additionally, employers are now able to offer fertility benefits separate from their employer-provided health coverage, a move intended to yield lower cost and broader coverage. Wow. That's amazing. American couples struggling with infertility have faced crushing costs in their quest to start a family. The actions I will outline this afternoon will dramatically slash the cost of in vitro fertilization treatment and many of the most common fertility drugs. Announcement follows recent agreements to honor most favored nation pricing with Pfizer, Amgen, and AstraZeneca. Discounted drugs from the 4 companies will be available to people through TrumpRx.gov, a prescription drug clearance plan for 2026, according to the White House. There you go. There you go, folks. Wow. Boy. Oh, but Trump is ending medical care. Trump is cutting medical care. Trump hates Americans. He hates Jews. He hates blacks. What lies? They're all lies. All lies. It's just win every single freaking day. You can't even keep up with this. Can't even keep up with this. Nola Bookerfield, I reported on that story yesterday. Head of the U.S. military Southern Command is stepping down after just 1 year in office. He looks kind of unhappy there. Admiral Alvin Halsey, Commander Southern Command, is leaving less than a year into his tenure. Why? What's going on here? What's It's unclear why he's suddenly departing less than a year into what is typically a 3-year job in the midst of the biggest operation in his 37-year career. But one current former official, both who spoke in anonymity, said the admiral has raised concerns about the mission, the attacks on alleged drug boats. Well, then he did the right thing. Here he is. Admiral Halsey is, not Halsey, but Halsey, is resigning from his command and retiring. Yep, his retirement is scheduled for December 12th, 13 months after stepping in the post. Wow. From commanding helicopter squadrons to leading carrier strike Group 1 and standing up the international maritime security construct, Admiral Halsey has demonstrated unwavering commitment to the mission, people, and nation, Pete Hegseth said. His tenure as military deputy commander and now commander of the U.S. United States Southern Command reflects a legacy of operational excellence and strategic vision. Wow. So Halsey's done. I wonder what that's all about. Interesting. We'll see. Meanwhile, Special Operations Task Force 160th is in the Mediterranean, in the Caribbean. Elite 160th Special Operations Regiment appears to have flown within 90 miles of Venezuela in their Hughes MD-500 Little Birds. Yep. U.S. military struck at least 5 boats allegedly carrying illegal narcotics in international waters. Now, that's allegedly. We haven't proven. They haven't shown us the evidence, although we've seen stuff floating in the water. Yeah, that's allegedly. U.S. has declared it an armed conflict with drug traffickers. So, wow. Task Force 160 is down there. After producing a productive call, Trump plans another meeting with Putin. President Trump has come close to imposing sanctions on Russia several times, only to backtrack after talking to President Putin and raising hopes for a diplomatic solution to the war. Well, he's meeting with him today, I believe, and then he's meeting with the grifter-in-chief Volodymyr Zelensky the next day. Well, an American flag with a swastika on it was found in a Republican congressman's office. And I'm just going to throw this out there. Who put that in there? I seriously doubt a Republican did that. So now, are we stooping to the level that we're going to pretend that Republicans are Nazis by putting flags in their offices? Representative Dave Taylor, Ohio, condemned the symbol as vile and said the office was investigating with Capitol Police. Republican Congressman from Ohio said on Wednesday that his office and U.S. Capitol Police were investigating after American flag that had been altered to depict a swastika was found in his office. Now, he said, I'm aware of an image that appears to depict a vile and deeply inappropriate symbol near an employee in my office. The content of the image does not reflect the values of my staff, myself, and I condemn it in strongest terms. So, his office said the flag, which appeared to be pinned to a cubicle, was vandalism. And that's probably what it is. Someone's probably trying to equate him with being a Nazi, and they thought that's clever. But the Democrats are trying to turn into the Republicans are Nazis, and therefore they have Nazi regalia in their offices. Utter nonsense. They're really desperate. They're really desperate. Really desperate. Well, crime, President Trump, and affordability dominate the New York City joke of a debate with the fascist Islamist chief there, Zamdami, the 33-year-old, now 34-year-old dumbass. Curtis Sliwa, the founder of the Guardian Angels, and Mario Cuomo, or Andrew Cuomo, best known for sexual picadillos. The first debate in the general election of New York City mayor's race was a bitter and combative affair, with the three candidates trading personal attacks, disagreeing fiercely over the Israel-Hamas war, and questioning their rivals' credentials. Zoran Mamdani, the Democratic frontrunner, took an aggressive stance toward his main opponent, Andrew Cuomo, seeking to project strength and make the case that he would stand up to Trump while Cuomo was beholden to the president. The 67-year-old sexual picadillo was in his second place in the polls, had a more difficult job to land a meaningful punch against Mamdani and cast himself as a common-sense experience alternative. Curtis Lee, the Republican candidate, fought for speaking time, lashing out at both of them. That's because the moderators were ridiculous. They had no brain cells between them. It was particularly bad. Ace Frehley, founding member of the band Kiss, has died at the age of 74. A consummate showman, he's known for playing guitars rigged with pyrotechnic effects and for his distinctive stage persona, typically wearing black and white paint all over his face. Ace Frehley, the original lead guitarist of the hard rock band Kiss, died in Morristown, New Jersey. The cause was a recent fall at his home, but did not specify where in Morristown he died. Mr. Frehley, who performed in white and silver face makeup as the group sold millions of records during his 2 tenures with it from 73 to 82 and from 96 to 2002, was a consummate showman like all the members of Kiss. He was known for playing guitars rigged with pyrotechnic effects and for his distinctive stage persona. He was known as the Spaceman or Space Ace because of the silver stars on his face. He also designed the band's logo with its lightning bolt letters. Other founding members were the guitarist Paul Stanley, drummer Peter Criss, and bassist Gene Simmons, who was hospitalized this month after a car crash in Malibu. All four are slated to receive Kennedy Center honors in December. Many rock fans initially dismissed Kiss as gimmicky charlatans. Its members weren't photographed without their stage makeup until 1983. But the band's energetic and theatrical live shows built the following of teenagers known as the Kiss Army. The band placed 8 singles in the top 40 during Mr. Frehley's tenure, and he played on 7 of them, including Love Gun, Christine 16, and I Was Made for Loving You. During his time with Kiss, the band released 11 albums, both studio and live, and went gold or platinum in the United States. That went gold or platinum. They ultimately sold more than 100 million albums. Wow. With the passage of time, the band saw its critical reputation improve. Kiss was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2014. Wow. There they are. 1999. Paul Daniel Frehley was born in the Bronx on April 27, 1951. Inspired by the Beatles and Rolling Stones, he began playing guitar at age 13. In 1972, when he was 21, still living at home, he spotted an ad in the Village Voice that read, "Lead guitarist wanted with flash and ability." Reasoning would fit the description, he auditioned for the band that would become known as Kiss. His mother actually drove him to the audition. When he got the gig, he started using the name Ace full-time to avoid confusion with Mr. Stanley. Oh, my goodness. Ace Frehley, dead, 74. Wow, folks, that's something else. Kiss. Well, the Washington Post has decided to run an op-ed piece about the John Bolton indictment. And, of course, naturally, the Washington Compost will defend this person who stole sensitive defense information, left it unsecured, and was arrogant with the U.S. government when it said that they needed to review his book. Each case will be judged on merits, but this is part of a pattern of selective prosecution. Really? Really? So he didn't do it? President Trump has embarked on a campaign of prosecuting political foes, from ex-FBI Director James Comey to New York Attorney General Letitia James. On Thursday night, his former national security advisor became the third high-profile antagonist to face charges in as many weeks. What's different now is that the Justice Department's charges and the evidence underlying them appear stronger than in previous cases. A grand jury in Maryland, a grand jury, not Donald Trump, a grand jury, indicted Bolton on 18 counts of transmitting and retaining national defense information. He allegedly included classified materials and emails sent to his private AOL account while in government. That account was apparently hacked by Iranian government. Bolton alerted the FBI in 2021, which then investigated. Technically, the charge against Bolton flowed from a Biden-era probe. So it's Trump revenge tour, but the case was taken up by the Biden administration. Wow. Selective prosecution. The Biden administration started this case, not the Trump administration. A 26-page indictment. Wow. So they're blaming Trump for something the Biden administration started. That's like Biden taking credit for Trump reducing the price of medication. Wow. Here you go, folks. Here's the indictment, 26 pages. In the United States District Court for the District of Maryland, United States versus John Robert Bolton II. The defendant, John Robert Bolton, resided in Montgomery County, Maryland from the 1980s through 2019, served intermittently as a variety of government senior positions, including Assistant Attorney General of the U.S. Department of Justice, as Undersecretary of State in U.S. Department of State, U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, and his last position of public service from April 2018 to September 2019 as Assistant to the President for National Security Affairs, which was commonly known as the National Security Advisor. The role of the National Security Advisor, Okay, Bolton was a National Security Advisor. As National Security Advisor, he had access to some of the U.S. government's most sensitive, most closely guarded national security secrets. In order to obtain a U.S. security clearance that granted him access to highly classified information inherent in the job of National Security Advisor, Bolton signed numerous non-disclosure agreements that acknowledged, among other things, that the unauthorized disclosure of classified information by him would cause damage or irreparable injury to the United States, and he would never divulge classified information without prior notice or authorization from the relevant government agency, that he would never divulge anything that he knew from sensitive department information to anyone who is not authorized to receive it without prior authorization, and that he understood that the unauthorized disclosure of national security information may constitute a violation. Anyway, well, it goes on here. So, due to Bolton's need to have ready access to national defense information, including classified, while serving as National Security Advisor, the government installed an accredited sensitive compartment information facility within his home in the District of Maryland. The SCIF was approved for processing and closed storage of classified information. By the way, if you have a SCIF, do you know what that means? That means that that facility has electronic monitoring, alarms, and armed guards 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So there was a armed guard at his residence to protect that, or he wouldn't have had a SCIF. Every SCIF must have that. That's the law. Yep. After Bolton's term as National Security Advisor ended in 2019, the SCIF in Bolton's home was decertified by the government and on or about 16 October 2019, and from that date to present, no location within his home was approved for lawful storage of classified information. At no point, including the period when Bolton had an accredited SCIF in his home, was Bolton authorized to store or transmit classified information on unclassified systems such as America Online, email account, a Google email account, non-governmental commercial messaging application, or other non-governmental systems. When National Security Advisor Bolton learned national defense classified information through a variety of means, including intelligence briefings, intelligence reports, and meetings with members of the U.S. Intelligence Committee and U.S. and foreign governments, in addition to having a home SCIF, he also had access to a variety of secure telecommunications. He had access to classified spaces in the White House, the Eisenhower Executive Office building, and other locations like the Pentagon. From April 2018 through August 22nd, 2025, he abused his position as National Security Advisor by sharing more than 1,000 pages of information about his day-to-day activities as a National Security Advisor, including information related to national defense, which is classified up to top secret SCI, with two unauthorized individuals, namely individuals 1 and 2. Bolton, who also unlawfully retained documents, writings, and notes related to national defense, including information classified up to top secret SCI, in his home. Individual 1, whose identity is known to the grand jury, was related to Bolton, never held U.S. security clearance, and was not authorized to receive, access, or maintain classified information that he shared. Individual 2, whose identity is known to the grand jury, was related to Bolton, also never held a security clearance, was not authorized to access, receive, or maintain classified information. Wow. Anyway, it goes on 26 pages. Yeah, this guy's toast. He's toast. Unless he's got something to share about the Democrats. then maybe, but I doubt he does. Then maybe they'll do something with him. They'll cut him a deal. Unbelievable. Excuse me. So John Bolton. Oh, we're down to 378 people. What happened? Where'd everybody go? We dropped off. All right. Some people from South Africa are still going crazy when I come live on TikTok. The comments, and they put my pic in their profiles. How pathetic. Oh, yeah. Well, there's lots of people trying to copy me. Bitter and twisted. Late grandma used to say, stand in fresh cow dung, it will make you grow taller. Okay, that's interesting. My neighbors tried that for a while. Hard business to get into. What's the market? Bus accident. Yeah, it was revealed how foreigners stealing meds from clinics and smuggling it back. Operation Due Diligence, right? No. That's not what due diligence is all about. Due diligence is about denying illegals coming in the country. It's not about, pursuing illegals for stealing medication. I'm not aware that was stolen medication. It may very well have been. I'm just aware there's a lot of medication there. And I presume that potentially what it was is someone acquired the medication and they're taking it home to sell it to make money from business. Heard on the news the bus crash last week. Zims and Malawians were on it. Illegal retrovirals and prescription meds. Okay, all right, thank you for that, Nola. I covered that yesterday, but that portion of the story wasn't known. Kasili Power Station cost nearly double to build than one of the Indonesian island Java with similar output, which uses similar emissions technology. Yep, exactly. Well, the cost overruns alone for the Kasili plant are outrageous, and the number of years it took to be fully operational, and it's still not fully operational. Dozen years. A few years, the President of the U.S. will go to the Rugby World Cup to cheer his former South African U.S. rugby team. I don't know about that. We'll see. What else we got here? License expired in August. Not holding my breath for replacement. Okay. Not sure what the DA is thinking, but their drive to tax middle class in Cape Town in order to supplement the poor is not going to end well. I'm not aware of that. What are they doing, Daniel? Oh, the rugby championship is canceled for next year, CB? Is that the deal? Oh, okay. Which is 1 year before the World Cup. So that's interesting. So South Africa's World Cup record will rest on 4 matches with New Zealand. I don't think we're going to win all 4. Yeah, illegal immigrants can get driver's license in places like Maryland without proving who they are. Yet people born in Maryland have to produce a birth certificate, the driver's license, but not the illegal aliens. Yeah, isn't that something? In theory, they employ 5 people to replace 1 person. I'm not sure what we're talking about there, Anton. The Chinese don't have too much food, Conrad. The Chinese don't have any food. They're starving. If it wasn't for food imports, the Chinese would starve to death. They would have mass starvation. Mass starvation. All right, so let me talk about this. That was the news. Bolton may be done, but he's just a host of the mustache. It will leave him in effect. Another victim. Beware of anyone who shows up in future with luxurious lip hair. Yeah, Washington State, tons of Mexicans in front of me getting licensed. There you go. Mike West interview. Yeah, let's see how it goes. The Colonel have his doctor appointment. No, my appointment's after this. So, in fact, I think it's at 3 o'clock. So I have to get out of here for a little bit longer. I have to shower still. So these are minutes from the presidency. This is not a state secret. These are made public available, but nobody reads these because it's not, investigative journalists are lazy in South Africa, so they rarely read it. But this is from the 15th of October. Issues in the environment. They talk about sports, the economy. All right, that's page 1. I have to go to page 9 before I get to where they talk about the most important issue here. Situation in Sudan. Deputy President's working visit South Sudan. That's not it. Page 9, the very bottom. This is 9 out of like 10, 12 pages, this thing. It's all the way down here after 9 pages, 8.5 pages, 9 pages. President Trump's Israel-Palestine peace plan and the return of global Sumid flotilla activists. Cabinet welcomed the signing of President Trump's Israeli-Palestinian peace plan, paving the way to end the devastating conflict in Gaza. This development aligns with South Africa's longstanding commitment to global peace, justice, and freedom for the people of Palestine. What about for the people of Israel? Cabinet further welcomes South Africa, urges all parties to honor the negotiated steps and pursue a credible, inclusive political process that will bring an end to the humanitarian crisis and prevent further loss of lives. Cabinet further welcomed the commencement of the implementation of Phase 1 of the peace plan, the release of Israeli hostages in exchange for Palestinian political prisoners. They're not political prisoners. See, that's bullshit. That is bullshit. They're not political prisoners. No. They're criminals, including over 100 known terrorists. They are not political prisoners. You see, this is dishonest. Dishonest. They're not political prisoners. That's a lie. South African government continues to advocate for a complete end to the occupation of Gaza and other Palestinian territories. There are no Palestinian territories occupied beyond Gaza. Gaza is only occupied because they invaded Israel. As a consequence, they were attacked in retaliation for invading Israel and murdering civilians, and this is a consequence of war. Half of Gaza has been evacuated. Israel was not in Gaza from 2006 until after the murdering terrorist invaded in 2023. In occupation of other Palestinian territory. There is no other Palestinian territory. You have Gaza and that's it. Judea and Samaria are Israel. They're not Palestinian. Cabinet also welcomed. The South African government continues to advocate for a complete end to the occupation. Okay. Cabinet also welcomed safe return of 6 South African humanitarian activists who participated in the global Sumid flotilla, a mission aimed at delivering food and medical supplies to Gaza, except that there were no medical and food supplies on any of the ships. So that's another lie. There were no food and medical supplies when they captured the international maritime criminals who were interdicting maritime traffic and endangering safety on the high seas. Cabinet calls for an immediate ceasefire, unimpeded humanitarian access, and safe evacuation of civilians from active conflict zones. Well, there was an immediate ceasefire, but no one's impeding humanitarian access, and civilians from active conflict zones. There is no active conflict zone, so that's just utter nonsense. That's a waste of oxygen. Waste of oxygen. All right, so... And then political developments in something that really matters, that is their business, in neighboring Madagascar gets virtually no coverage. 2 sentences here. Cabinet has noted with concern the recent political unrest in the Republic of Madagascar, which have led to loss of lives and destruction of property. Cabinet calls for calm and for people, role players, to seek a peaceful solution and return to rule of law. That's it. That's it. Page 10. That's what they have to say about it, President Trump. No congratulations, no press releases, no ANC officials or DERCO officials, no Ronnie Lamola going on the stage and talking about Gaza. Now that their fraudulent ICJ case against Israel means nothing anymore because Donald Trump brought peace, not their fraudulent case, they have nothing to say. They've been embarrassed. They've been embarrassed. There's nothing to say. $9 billion in informal settlements. Daniel, where is this coming from? I haven't seen that anywhere in the press. How do you know that? Bee swarm flew by. Wow, that's pretty wild. Philip says he thought it was classified documents from my CIA office. I don't have a CIA office, and I don't have any classified documents. My goodness. Homeopath, that's not going to help the damage to my hip. Designated survivor. That didn't do anything for me. It was interesting the first couple episodes. Very excited to share my excitement with you all. Just had a phone call from my son, Louisiana. He's flying out on the 7th of November. his contract does not carry on next year. Okay? What are you excited about? He doesn't have a contract next year? I'm a little puzzled by that, Ingrid. Sorry. Maybe I'm a little slow and not keeping up with what's going on. Anyway, let me close this over here. Come back over here. 358 people currently here. Just 366 likes with 2,000 people visiting. What's going on there? Coming home for a bit. Oh, you're going to see him. That's what you're excited about. Gotcha. That makes sense. That makes sense. Right. Another farm attack at Ruas, Senegal. No idea what that is. What is this? Hendo sent me stuff. I didn't see that. When did that come in? It doesn't even have a date on it. The 10th of October. I guess the 10th of October. Well, Charles, if you're here, here's a promising thing. I don't even know who these people are, but these people are trying to raise money for someone for a medical thing, and so look at this. They want. Oh, that's not what I want. Shoot, hang on. Give me a second here. I have to use the screen. So this is a Back a Buddy program for by Marizan Badenhorst. Says, my heart's truly heavy as I write this. My brother, my best friend, my companion, and truly loving soul was in a terrible accident. Is now in ICU in critical condition with bleeding on the brain, under sedation. The situation is serious. When did she post this thing? A month ago. If I could trade places, I'd do so. Anyway, he does not have medical aid. The hospital costs are overwhelming. He has only me to rely on. I would never normally ask for help, but right now I'm reaching out for my brother's sake. So, update on 3 October. He's off the ventilator, breathing on his own while he's still not out of danger. The doctor is monitoring him very closely. Grateful for every bit progress. So that's there. I don't know these people, but I'll put the link up if anybody wants to help them. Anyway, but for Charles, who's got some medical issues, maybe that's promising. People donate money for something like that. So, whoops, that's not supposed to be on the screen. Sorry about that. There you go. So if you want to help there, there's a way to help there, folks. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. So that guy's still alive, but 85,000 Rand has been raised of 220,000 Rand goal. So to the Sunnyside Prowler, who talks about the grass not being green in America, and that, wow, you know, when she had a problem with her medical situation, the cancer scare, she got treatment, and the people were fantastic in South Africa. And then, of course, she made a video lying about me and only covering part of the story. I said that the state medical system was racist and inept, incompetent, and she only talked about the racist part. I did say inept as well, and also said that it's useless to everybody, black, white, and brown, but she didn't focus on that. But here's a person who doesn't have medical aid, and Charles' medical aid doesn't cover his medical situation. So where's this great medical aid, this great, fantastic situation in South Africa? Please show me where I was wrong about the system being racist and inept. It's one or the other or both in every case. Yeah, her English is all messed up. It's crazy. Anyway. All right, so yeah, so I'm just, once again, you know, I was told people creating social media content calling me a liar and attacking me and attacking my country, when every day I find more examples of how screwed up and feckless and useless, racist and inept South Africa's state-run medical care is. This South African doesn't have medical insurance, doesn't have medical care. Yet Jay is taken care of, Letitia is taken care of, Kara all taken care of. Kara had surgery, life-saving surgery after she arrived here. Jay is having life-saving treatment for cancer, cervical cancer. And Letitia also had care for a very serious issue. All taken care of. All taken care of. But we have scumbags lying about America. And they don't know what they're talking about. But I know what I'm talking about in South Africa. Trust me. Here's another case of someone. Right there, folks. Not making up. There's a Back a Buddy for someone who needs money, 220,000 Rand, because they have no medical insurance. And they're South Africans. Veroshka just said she has no medical insurance. But, there's no buts. These are statements of fact. People should not make broad-based statements and besmirch the character of someone else when they don't know what they're talking about. Your son and 3 Afrikaans men are in Louisiana. Very grateful, but I think to be told you no consequence. Huh? You are of no consequence, replaceable like a tire. Huh? Ingrid, guys, you can't tell me things and not. I don't know what you're talking about. Did someone on a farm in Louisiana tell your son that he's not irreplaceable? He's like a tire? I mean, I'm just assuming that. Did you tell me that previously? I don't see anything. Anna had to fill a form out and they'll contact her. That sounds good. Huh. You bring back the farm watch. 2 farm workers attacked in home invasion. My goodness. A punga under his feet. That's sick. All right, Del Marie Mostart, take care. Covers the basics really bad, but all we can afford. Yeah, no, I get you. I got you. Yeah, but you're only a pensioner, Charles, because you were forced out because of racism in the municipal government. People don't know about that. All right. Farmer he works for us said that to them. I'm sorry for not giving full sense. Well, Ingrid, before I attack the farmer, I don't know the situation. I wasn't there. You weren't there. I'm not saying that your son is incorrect, but we don't know. I don't know your son's work ethic. I don't know the circumstance of what happened there. I don't know if it was malicious or maybe somebody wasn't doing something, or maybe some people on the farm had expectations. They're entitled to things. I don't know. So I'm not gonna comment on that, because that could play out in so many different directions about what caused that, what was really said. So I don't know, but I agree with you that being told that is not a motivating thing. Yeah. So I was told something akin to that. I was told by someone in my veterans organization the other day that I don't care about social members, and I have said I don't care about people talking about them. I didn't join the organization for that. But that doesn't mean I don't care. I listen to what they say. We adjust policies and do things on their behalf, because most of the people who are members of the organization are actually social members. People hear what they want to hear. Medical insurance have a hospital plan to try to cover medical costs, but most people do not even have that. You're right, Kurtz. They're not going to reestablish the commandos, but that would be part of my policy for 6 months as president, dictator of South Africa. Okay, thank you, Daniel. You keep telling us information, but you're not telling me where your source information is. Where are you getting that? I didn't see it in BizTech. I didn't see it in Daily Maverick. I didn't see it in News 24. I didn't see it in IOL. I didn't see it anywhere in South Africa. Where are you getting the information from? 16,000 a month. Good God. AI. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Daniel. That helps me out. Okay. Well, I can't use AI. I can use the DA budget for Cape Town if I can find it. So let me find Cape Town budget. Cape Town budget. Cape Town city budget. 2526, I'm guessing. There it is, 2526, City of Cape Town. Okay, that was an easy link to find. Let's see what it shows me. Hopefully it's a PDF and not... is it a PDF? No, it's an online budget. Ugh, jeez. I can't just download it. I don't like that. Well, document downloads. Let me see. Well, there it is. It's an Afrikaans English isiXhosa. Let's go. Oh, that's an advert. I don't want an advert. I want the actual budget. Huh. Let's see. Oh, wow. Wow, that's a lot to... This is what comes up, folks. It's going to take a while for me to digest that. Wow, that's insane. That's insane. That's going to take an awful lot of work. Can't get to that now. Got to go to the clinic. Big Bulls win easy, busy loading for tonight. Well, we'll see. Yeah, Ingrid says, I know you don't, but I know my son. Very humble, respectful. He looks you in your eyes and shakes your hand. Okay, well, then it sounds like he was probably mistreated. But again, I wasn't there, so I don't know. Yeah, I am commentating on rugby, Andre, but I can't do the Bulls game because I have to go to this medical appointment that was scheduled a couple months ago, and I can't reschedule it because I need to get it done now. About my hip. So that's coming up in a short time, and the Bulls are on in an hour and a half, and so I'll be at the clinic, so I'll miss it. So I'll be able to watch it on my phone, but I won't be able to comment on it. But I will do the 3 games tomorrow: the Lions, Sharks, and the Stormers game I'm doing tomorrow. Prediction short term: 1 to 2 years Madagascar military led transition government. It's hard to say because I don't know who this character is. Had I gone to Madagascar and been the defense advisor, I'd be in a perfect position to tell you what's going to happen. But I'm not there. I turned that job down. So and probably a good thing I turned it down. Ian Moon says, I want to thank you for your help. You're a godsend. Well, you're welcome, Ian. I don't think anybody knows about that. So Lynn's taking off. I can afford medical and only have $39 a day for food. That's horrible. That's horrible. Yeah, South Africa is so broken, folks. So broken. All right. Okay. All right. Good luck to the Bulls, and I'll catch you guys later. If I get back and the game is still on, I might turn it on and just, go live for the end of it, but I doubt that. So no promises. All right. Thank you all for being here. Be sure to hit the like button. We got close to 400 likes now. That's a little bit better. A little bit better. Thank you all so much for that. And tomorrow, busy day on Rugby and Senate. I do have that commentary about Chris Pimperi's response. I'll probably post that later tonight. No rush for that. Okay? Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. Appreciate your support. Always a pleasure to have you here. And thank you very much for being with us.